What is the balance for you like when we need the healing aspects of things like comedy and art, but also making sure you're still feeling things and engaged?
Well, I think the most important thing I can do as an artist is stay engaged with the systems that oppress us. In other words, not isolating to the point where I'm disconnected from the real world. Now, I do live
Well,
with
that sounds
many.
like that sounds pretty
I,
bold.
well, I will say that I do live with plenty of privileges, both that I've been born with and earned. And so I think that that also is a part of the conversation too, right? I am extremely privileged, and I also am somebody who wants to experience the world and walk alongside my community, my friends, my co-conspirators, my colleagues, and not everybody's in the same place, you know. So
I think one of the things you're saying, with not everybody being in the same place, you said a key word when you said earned privilege. Okay, so for you, how did you process that transition?
well, I didn't for a very long time because of survival mechanisms.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I was born into class privilege, and even though I was born into privilege through dual citizenship, right, which means I was able to be sent to the United States on a plane with assistance as a minor traveling alone, right? There were privileges involved in this sort of huge upset in my life. And that came with discrimination as well. People kind of conflating xenophobia and racism. Like, oh, you were born in
Mm-hmm.
Mexico, so that means that you are in this category that I'm now going to discriminate against because that means that you're not white, which is actually really incorrect. There are plenty of white people
Right,
in Mexico with plenty of privilege, right?
right,
And
right.
so and so I have family who is that, you know. There are brown folks in my family, there are white folks in my family, who are Mexican, who are mixed, etc. And so that's what I talk about that's what I mean when I say I was born with privileges. And then sort of winding up in San Diego, California, where my mom was born, hence the dual citizenship. Then I was sort of kind of in survival mode because I had not only accumulated childhood trauma from before I was sent to the US, but I was also experiencing the trauma from divorce, the
Mm-hmm.
trauma of culture shock, living in a new country, and then experiencing a ton of discrimination growing up just because of people's miseducation and projections and assumptions about me. So really, as an immigrant, it became all about fitting in. It
Ah.
became about survival by fitting in, by conforming.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I,
Mm-hmm.
you know, my mother joined me sometime later in San Diego, and my mother is white. She is Mexican Irish and very much white. And so there's a lot of privilege that comes with that. But really, my point is when your mother is who they are, you want to aspire to your parents a lot of the time. And so there was also that kind of pressure, right? To be like your mom, even though no one necessarily looked at me as a child and thought we were related. So growing up, there was a lot of stuffing down of trauma, of feelings. It was all about survival and sort of taking advantage of anything to succeed,
Mm.
quote unquote, because we're also conditioned in this country to pursue a kind of quote unquote success. What does
Yeah.
that look like? What does that smell like? What does that feel like? Right. So there's all kinds of socialization and conditioning that I was experiencing as
Wow.
well, being a queer, bi, non-binary person who didn't know that they were queer and bi yet.
It's interesting because the reason why I wanted to really like kind of line that out is because this podcast, it's very much in a common sense tone. But I come from my Buddhist perspective, and I want to sort of like share the way that Buddhism has helped me see the world and see other people. And one of the things, there's so many wonderful things that I learned from it, but one of the things that they say is become a celebrity of the mystic law. And what our mystic law basically boils down to is just really saying that no matter who you are, what package you came in, that you can demonstrate through your life force a type of enlightenment, or a type of like just having success with your life, just having purpose and having certain things. But when it says become a celebrity of that fact or that law, it really comes down to being just another example example of, with this layer and this many layers and with this kind of situation, of how you found yourself, how you found your value, and how you learn to express that fragrance that comes along with the flower that you are.